Cult of the Lamb on the Nintendo Switch. This is a research stream of a game that I purchased at retail for $10. It is possible to find Switch games for less than $10 these days, especially now that the Switch 2 has been announced here in the year of our Lord 19, what is this, 2025? It's easier to find Switch games for less than $10 now. I guess they're flooding the market. And now that the Switch 2 is coming out, I guess a bunch of people are going to like sell a bunch of video games so that they can put in their pre-order. So I guess if you're going to start buying Switch 2 games and you want to build your collection, this might be we're in a bear market for Nintendo Switch prices, I would argue. This is a special situation because Walmart every once in a while puts games on clearance. So a game like this that's inexplicably wound up on their shelves maybe a year or two ago probably doesn't move that much. But yeah, this is a Devolver Digital publication, so that probably explains how it got on the shelves. I don't remember seeing Demon Throttle in any retail outlets. Another Devolver game. I don't remember seeing the Hotline Miami collection either. But this again, I am curious about some of these like third party, some of these smaller third party outlets that are able to get physical copies of games onto store shelves. Okay, fine. I would argue that I mean, yeah, I would argue that even in the next year or so, in the year 2026, I don't think we're going to see that many $10 Switch games even on clearance. I mean, regardless of what the economic situation is, I tend to believe these retail outlets will probably cap their games the way they usually do at the $15 to $20 range when they're trying to get rid of them. It depends. Obviously, it depends on the store. Like I bought, I'll do a video about this later. I bought the Marvel v Capcom Fighting Collection at retail at Target for $20 a month or so ago. So I was tooling around with the Punisher a while ago. Again, I'll do a separate video on that. But what's interesting about this, and I think I have the Capcom Fighting Collection for the same price at Target. I want to say the Marvel v Capcom Fighting Collection is a game that's consistently at the $30 range now. So I think it's become a permanent price drop because I guess they figured $50 was way too much. And this game seems to be doing the whole "don't starve" look, where it's like, yeah, it's like a Mad, what do you call it, like an over-the-shoulder Madden NFL camera angle. So it's not top down like Binding of Isaac. They're doing sort of a John Madden thing, and the look is the John Madden football look, and it's kind of similar to Don't Starve, which I played on this channel about 8 or so years ago, and I will go back and play again. That's a very laptop Steam Deck friendly game. But this intro is doing the whole like Call of Duty, Skyrim. You're playing a character that has to walk slowly towards their own execution at the start of the game. So yeah, I've played enough video games to know it's a trope, but I'm not into, obviously, if you know me, I'm not into video game lore like that. But there might be some references I can pick up. I am playing this game because, like I said, I got it at a real low price, so I'm really not really invested in it. I try to document my reactions to these games when I buy them, and if I want to stick around with them, I will. Like I said, it was a $10 game purchase, and GameStop's gonna give me $10 if I trade it in today. So I'm like, okay, fine. And the weather's actually well, the weather's not nice. It's gonna rain later this afternoon, but it's room temperature outside today, so we've officially hit that time of year. So I think so I can finally unplug the heater. In fact, it's getting to that time of year where I might have to plug in my clip-on fan. It's also getting to that time of year where I'm not gonna want to play PS4 games because it's gonna spew too much heat. Yeah, the Mass Effect choice. So there's no in Yeah, so there's no and yes, but in this case no is yes because there is no yes. There is no no. So absolutely is yes. So, like I said, top down. Well, not top down, but an over the shoulder action. It's not even an over the shoulder action game. So it is. So again, it's like a 3/4 view. You know what I mean? There we go. And this game's rated R, isn't it? Actually, the box is over there. It's rated T, shockingly, despite the content. Oh well, I guess it'll do. So am I getting any points for killing these guys? No. Oh well. So they got this, these scalable vector graphics they got going on here. Like the art style is basically just a bunch of, not polygons, but a bunch of basic geometric shapes, I suppose. Which works because it's easier. It's easier in terms of controlling the zooming and the when you're dealing with a camera that's to zoom in and out. It's easier to maintain model integrity if the models look like basic geometric shapes. It doesn't mean we're using scalable vector graphics, but in my mind, the reason you would do that is because it's easier for you to maintain the integrity of the art when you zoom in and out. Because if you're using pixels, there we go. If you're using pixels, when you zoom in, obviously they look too blocky. If you're using scalable vector graphics, you can set them. They can be designed in a way that every time you zoom in, the integrity of the image is maintained. So no blockiness, or less blockiness, I would argue. And as we make the move to more 4K gaming, obviously with the Switch 2, as 4K gaming becomes possible, we'll probably see more of these indie games. These lower budget games will use scalable vector graphics so that images don't look as block. Let me put it this way. Scalable vector, if you're making a 2D game, scalable vector graphics can be zoomed in and out in a 3D way without looking blocky and pixelated. And you don't have to spend as much time doing these Octopath Traveler like effects to make the pixel art look better when you zoom in and out. Again, on a lower budget, it's probably easier to just maintain the integrity of your art if you make your art in the scale as a scalable vector graphic, I would argue. It's less time consuming to make a 2D model than a 3D model that looks good. Like a 2D model that looks good with scalable vector graphics is probably gonna look better when zoomed in and out than pixel. It's gonna look better than a pixel art image does when you zoom in and out, or when you scale it up, and when you play it on a larger screen. Pixel art. That's the problem I have. Obviously, as much as I love pixel art was made for an era when televisions had a lower resolution and they were blurrier. Dodge. But scalable vector graphics hold up better when you scale them up. They can still look jagged, but the idea is that you can increase the resolution without making it look pixelated. I'm just rambling at this point. I guess the real issue is if you want to make a game in 4K, it's easier to make a game in 4K that looks like this than like Mario 64, which doesn't look good in 4K. Because again, there aren't enough polygons to make it look good in 4K. Because every time you zoom in, it's too easy to see how rough the polygon art looks. Oh, down here? No. No, do I have to go back the way I came? Is there a map? Again, I've been joking. Do you want more games in 4K where they're gonna look like Geometry Wars? Which isn't bad. It's just acknowledging it's easier for developers to make a 4K game that runs at a high frame rate if there are fewer polygons that they have to manage. And you don't have to be like an amazing coding wizard. In other words, it's easier for you to manage polygons, to manage polygon budgets. If you don't have to constantly do the culling, I think is the word. Like you can have a game with like like Mario 64. There aren't that many polygons in Mario 64, so you don't have to worry about culling really, because why worry about culling and and load was it LODs, was it load on detail, whatever you call that. You don't have to worry as much about that. There's just fewer polygons to cull. But if you apparently a lot of modern artists will draw pictures with lots of polygons in them, and the engine can do the culling. Like in a game like Doom on the Nintendo Switch or Doom Eternal, there's a lot of polygon culling. That's what the developer said. The crew that was in charge of porting Doom Eternal to the Nintendo Switch, they had an interview with Digital Foundry over at the Eurogamer, and they said, I think one of the developers said, look, if you're making a game like Doom on the Switch, the way you make it work is with polygon culling. The way you make it work is, um, Doom is a very visually demanding game with a lot going on the screen and a lot of things it has to manage visually. And the only way you can make it run on a screen is to run on a Switch is to reduce the number of polygons that the Nintendo Switch has to work with. You have to, in other words, you can't give the Switch a billion polygons and say make this game run quickly because it can't. It doesn't have the horsepower. But if you only have, a million polygons instead of a billion polygons, I guess that's the culling process. So so basically you just develop the game engine so that it has less to do. You give it a more manageable workload by reducing the number of polygons it has to show. And it works in the sense that if you're playing Doom Eternal on the Switch, it's because the developers were really good at reducing that polygon load, reducing the number of polygons that appear on screen at any given time. The problem is, and again, we said this before, is that in a game like Doom, if you reduce the polygons too much, it reduces the visual integrity of the image. It reduces the visual integrity of the art. So the reason why Doom looks as ugly as it does on the Switch is because they had to compromise. Arguably, it was too difficult for the code to reduce the number of polygons they had to work with without making the art look terrible. Because again, the art was made to look good with a high polygon count. And if you just, I don't know if they arbitrarily reduce the number of polygons, but how do you reduce the number of polygons that appear on an image on your screen on the fly 60 times a second and have a picture that looks good? And it's not that easy to do. So ideally, what you'd be doing is making a game that, and by the other problem is that the other compromise is that obviously Doom Eternal on the Nintendo Switch doesn't run as smoothly as Doom Eternal does on the PS4 or the Xbox One or more powerful hardware. So they had to reduce the frame rate to 30 frames a second instead of 60 because of that. Because you're asking the Switch to do too much, it can only do it so fast. So to be fair, the game was not made to be played on hardware that's as slow as the Switch. It requires hardware that's really fast, like the Xbox One, or fast for the era. So if you're playing an Xbox One, the game still looks pretty good, extremely good. I played it on this channel. It looks very good. It's one of the best looking games of the era. And again, there are compromises there on the Xbox One version compared to the PS4 because the PS4 has more horsepower. So the developers were able to increase the resolution of the image while maintaining that high 60 hertz frame rate. The Switch was nowhere near as capable of doing that on a game that was pushing that many polygons and all the other work it has to do. It's not just about the vision. It's not just about the polygons. It's about really all the AI and all the others, the AI input lag, all that kind of like all the work it has to do. But arguably one of the most demanding things it has to do is display a bunch of highly detailed graphics at high speed with a lot of fancy effects on top of it. That's very expensive. Developer recommended. Thanks. I will take your recommendation, developer. Massive Monster, I believe the studio's name is. So are they doing Simlish? Like, is this a fictional language? Yeah, I guess it's a fictional language. Indoctrinate the new follower. Can I save here? Because I did not save earlier. Okay, but that's fine. Gotta indoctrinate the follower. But I said this before. If you want more games in 4K at 60 frames a second, you gotta reduce the number of polygons on screen. And you can do it through culling, but I would argue the artist is better off just making far less detailed art. And I've played many games on this channel where I've asked myself, okay, what GameCube games or PlayStation 2 games have an art style that holds up? Because obviously I am not a huge fan of Nintendo 64 polygon art. Like the best looking Nintendo 64 games, the best looking PlayStation 1 and Saturn games, the best looking 3D games of that era are still ugly as crap. Mario 64 looks okay, but it's still, again, boxes for hands. Like it's a very 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 ugly game. I still like it. I still think it's okay visually. It's just a really ugly game. Oh, okay, so we get to choose the polygon model. So we got doe, I guess, pig. We have Bambi. We have the Alfred P. Newman of pigs. We have Snoop Doggy Dog or a wolf, I guess. Kitty, and that's a fox. Foxhound, I guess. I do think it's cute how the model looks. Yeah, this literally looks like a square with a nose on the side of its face. That's kind of hilarious. So we'll have Alfred P. Newman here. Choose the color. Can we do a black pig? The Alfred P. Newman of pigs can be black, I suppose. Let's see. Choose variant. A fuzzy pig. Oh, a boar. Yeah, a boar. That would make yeah, furry pig. Yeah, a boar basically. We're not gonna randomize it. What traits? On recruiting this follower, immediately gain 10 faith. Lose faith whenever I. So we can't change that. Name. Okay, we're gonna change his name obviously. So you will be Alfred. How big can the name be? We got Y. Hello, Newman. Well, that's not how you spell Alfred P. Newman, but we're gonna go with that. That's why you're here. 90s movies references and culling the conversations. Again, developers know way more about this than I do, but I speak to I know a couple of I know a couple of game artists on Twitter, and the obvious problem is that I don't think they're talking past each other, but it's like when you get developers who will say, just do this, just do the culling. Like, yeah, but isn't it easier to do the culling if the art isn't like incredibly detailed? You know what I mean? Like, again, if you're an artist, it's easier to just do the art and let the devs do the other stuff. But my argument is if you just have fewer polygons, it's just easier to like. It's easier for the devs to do their job. If the artists, again, again, those are the compromises everyone has to make. If you're making a movie, you don't compromise as much. But you know, I can understand an artist being frustrated at constantly having their art decimated by developers who aren't quote good enough at optimization. Clear trees and collect wood. I don't know what I need, so we'll just pick one. If he's collecting wood, so that means I can collect stone, right? A cooking fire, huh? Collect lumber and stone. So how do I get the stone? Oh, I can chop here. Okay, mine stone with the A button. Okay. So we are doing a don't starve thing. Actual Minecraft. I am, yeah, because remember on this channel I've played games like, Stardew Valley and Harvest Moon, and I've wondered why. Yes, it's kind of like Don't Starve. Picky, picky, picky. So we can just hold down the button, okay? So we can just hold down the button. I don't have to keep pressing it. Berry bush seed. So this game's about pigs and bushes, huh? It's about pig and bush, huh? What are we doing with this? We need more lumber. It should be above us. But again, like, why would you make this game? Why would you not make this game top down? And I figure, isn't it easier to develop a game? Like, isn't it easier to like do the art in a game that's top down? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, like if I had a developer with me, I would say like, hey, like how do you guys decide? How do you guys make the decision between like top down games like a Stardew Valley compared to this? Like maybe like I guess if you're a dev and you've already worked on a game that has this like art style, like Don't Starve, and you're familiar with an engine that works that way, and you want to kind of iterate on it, then yeah, sure. Because it means you're familiar with like things like collision detection and AI, and so if you're familiar with a game that has an engine that looks like this, then sure, you just develop a game that looks like Don't Starve because you're familiar with how that game's engine works. But if I were familiar with a game like, Stardew Valley, then I'd be like, okay, fine, I'd rather just make like if I were making a game like this, it would be top down, like Legend of Zelda on the NES, basically. Because that game is old enough, and I'm familiar enough with the collision detection and stuff like that. That's just easier for me to develop something. It would be easier for me to work with something like that. And again, like Stardew Valley proves, you can still do the farming and crap. So it can't be so it has to be here on the grass. Okay, fine. So we're crafting. And I did like Don't Starve. And like I said, it's a laptop friendly game, so I'll definitely be playing that this summer. Again, I'm not buying a Switch 2 for the foreseeable future, like for the next 5 years. So by the time I hit AARP eligibility, then I'll probably think about getting a PS5. Of course, I'll celebrate my 50th birthday by getting a PS5 by selling half of my video game collection. Because I don't know about you, but I'm not exactly planning on holding on to Mario Party. What Mario Party do I have? I know I have Mario Party. I got a couple Mario Party games from a family member who gave me her she gave me her Wii as a Christmas present. I mean, they weren't using it. I mean, I think they were using it for like they were using it for like streaming Netflix. And then when the Wii store shut down, the Wii became completely worthless to them. I guess they were still playing Mario Party because it was there. What are we cooking? Basic berries for a basic boar. How long does it take? I did cook. Is it still cooking? Do I need more? Okay, never mind. Is it not cooked, or does it have to like stew for a while? Basic berry stew, I guess. I guess technically soup would have meat in it or salt. You wouldn't well, you could put fruit in a soup. I'm not a chef, all right? To me, a cold soup is just like yogurt basically. Yeah. It's like a beverage, like a broth, you know what I mean? Okay, so what are we doing? We still cooking? Oh, press the X button. Should probably cook it, cook it. Breath of the Wild, huh? There you go. This game actually seems more interesting than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was gonna be like Binding of Isaac. Yeah, Binding of Isaac has a lot of. I never got into Binding of Isaac. It was one of the first PlayStation 4 games I ever rented. I'm like, this is like, I mean, like, I think the problem is that you start out so weak that it's like playing Contra with a. It's not even like playing Contra. It's like playing like a bad Commando clone with like a really terrible weapon. And you're just kind of hoping that you get something competent eventually. Like I think if you just maybe the game's been patched since I played the PS4 version, but I just think that if they just gave you like better weapons to start the game would just seem way less tedious to start out. Like I played that game for an hour and I'm like, why would you start a game with such a terrible weapon? Like literally shooting peas. Like it's like a pebble shooter. It's terrible. But then again, if they made a top-down Contra game, yeah, if they made a top-down Contra game with a better gun, I mean, that could have been something. A Binding of Isaac like game in the Contra, like a run and gun Binding of Isaac. That'd be cool, right? I mean, like games like this, I'm kind of fascinated by because they're they're retro enough that they're sort of easy to sort of get into, but they add enough mechanics and enough complexity usually that you wouldn't really see in a game from like the 20th century. So I think they're worth playing for people like me who grew up in the 20th century playing much simpler games than this. But you can see how they build on modern, game design, modern design sensibilities. So again, I tend to believe a game like this on the NES or the Super NES would just be like a top-down action game and nothing else. Here you're doing the camping and stuff. Like Stardew Valley could easily be a Game Boy game, but the idea was there weren't that many. I would argue there were no Game Boy games that played the way Stardew Valley did, even though you easily could, depending on how much time you want to commit to developing a game on hardware like the Game Boy. But you could absolutely do it. The whole point of a game like Stardew Valley is that it's a game that looks like a Super Nintendo game, like a Harvest Moon-like game with some Zelda-like action. There were a bunch of top-down games on the Super NES. Unsanitary conditions. Okay. Bed rest or they could die. Poop, vomit, and dead bodies cause. Ugh. Cleaning messes and burying bodies. Okay. Jeez. This game's rated T for teen, huh? So we have some more food over here. Work. No, we're fine. I'm not trying to interact. I'm not trying to make more demands. He's already doing what I need him to do. They can eat if they want, I guess. So while I'm away, though, so that's the Stardew Valley treasure chest. That's cool, I suppose. So we can save here. Your followers need to eat up to you. Yes, I did provide some meals. Do I need some more meals? Guess I can make some more meals. Cook. So I'll give them something to eat while I'm away. Okay, return with more gold. Return with more followers. Okay. So we gotta do the dungeon crawl. We gotta do the dungeon crawling bit then, right? Return with more gold. Okay. Requires requires 7 followers, I guess, to open that door. Literally gated content. So we have 1 follower, so we're allowed to open this door, I suppose. I did not hear anyone talk about this game. I think the problem is that I confused this game when I bought it. I confused it with a game that I did sort of read about called Cult Simulator. Or I think it's Cultist Simulator. Tom Chick over at Quarter to Three reviewed it several years ago. I didn't read much about it, but when I see a Switch game for $10, I'm like, okay, I'm curious what this thing is about. So basically, for me, it's a rental. But yeah, I mean, again, if you go to Target or if you go to Walmart specifically, you can sometimes luck out. Like the Metroid Prime remaster was $30 at Walmart. I think it started at 40, but they cleared those out pretty quickly, I guess. But I do want to play the Mario Prime remaster. I just didn't want to pay $30 for it. But I was interested in it. Okay, so we got a new Blade. I missed out on buying the Near Automata for $10 on the Nintendo Switch. There was one other game. Yeah, the Star Ocean remake on the Switch was like $20 at one point. I missed out on that. I think what happened was people were raiding Reddit because I want to say every 6 months or so, maybe every year, but I want to say every 6 months or so, Walmart does a clearance on a lot of stuff. So they were getting rid of a lot of like Square Enix stuff that probably wasn't selling very well. Return with more gold. Okay, so how do I get more gold? We're gonna find out in a second. Do I even have to kill these guys? Can I just completely avoid them? And these guys do telegraph their attacks, so that's okay. You know how it is. You know how it is. They mill about, and then eventually some clock goes off, and then they're supposed to attack you. But they're never supposed to attack you simultaneously. It's it's dev stuff. You take that for granted until you actually have to make a game that you know until you actually play a game that turns off the AI timers that they use to switch from dodging to attacking, that kind of thing. That they'll kite you and then eventually they'll just try to attack you. That kind of thing. Claw neck. So it's like Hades, I guess. Overall weapon damage increased by 1.2. What's this? So I get an extra life heart, I guess. Okay. So I got a deck. So I'm drawing from a deck. I do like the I do like the staccato frame rate on the card flipping. That's kind of cute. Got that stop motion thing going on. Yeah, South of Midnight came out a few weeks ago, and I think we're starting to see like we might see more video games do like the whole uh staccato frame rate, like the whole like 15, like a lot of claymation, a lot of stop motion back in the day, back in the 20th century would do like 15, 20 frames, would do like 12 frames a second because you were animating on you were taking a picture of an image every other frame, arguably. Frames are 24 frames a second. You can do stop motion every 12 or arguably 8 frames a second if you want. What's that anime? Zen Shoe, I think it's called, the one that just came out this 2025. Yeah, they were animating on threes. Like literally in the show, they're saying, "Oh yeah, we're animating on threes." I'm like, "Really? Yeah." 10 frames a second for a TV show saves money over time, and you can obviously add more flourishes later, but apparently animating on threes is manageable for a large for a production that has a lot of episodes over time, I guess. Don't want to overwork the animators, huh? Rabbit's foot. Increases chance. So okay, so these are just cards that I've unlocked. Okay. I'll be able to draw from that deck of 15 cards. So I can look at the deck of cards that I've unlocked. Okay. So I guess I pulled from that deck of 15 cards to get the two options that were available to me, and I picked from those two options. That seems cool, actually. So yeah, this game seems a bit more interesting than I thought it was going to be. So we'll see how that goes. But again, I'm in that mindset right now where I'm too busy playing Civilization 2. So I don't want to get too caught up in that. So I got some more gold. So how much more gold did I need? So I guess I kill enemies, they drop treasure chests. When the room is cleared of enemies, I get treasure chests, and that will determine how much gold I get, I guess. This is just grass. I can a link to the past. I can just gather some grass, use it for crafting and crap. Fuzzy caterpillars. I do like the skull, yeah. The little skull. That's kind of cute. What is it? The old Georgia O'Keeffe look. Okay, so how much more gold do I need? The lust for gold is all consuming of one's heart. Happy Easter, by the way. Why am I playing this game on Easter weekend, by the way? Oh well. Well, this character does rise from the dead, technically, right? There's no map, is there? The combat seems reasonably fluid. I'm just curious how a game like this compares to something like, Moonlighter, which I believe I bought. I don't remember. I think I bought the PC version a while ago. Uh-oh. Oh. So am I not fighting him? He's just a is he just a lore dumper? The Venom of Fear knows no cure, deals poison damage. Okay. Okay. I'll take that. So I guess at some point I'll get a big batch of gold. Yeah, here we go. So it's not just one room, it's a whole chamber. That's like it's a whole chamber, then we have to pick which chamber we want to go to next, I suppose. I guess it's just a different floor with different rooms in it. So I don't know what these symbols represent either, which isn't very helpful. So if I want food, I can go that way. If I want hearts, I can go this way. I guess that's what that means. I don't know. This game didn't come with a manual. Actually, I think it comes with an art book, if I'm not mistaken. I'll double check. The heart that wants to beat inside my chest. Say it with the chest, old man. Yeah, no art book. Oh well. I do think it kind of sucks that the box for this game doesn't give you any idea about what kind of game it is. Just not descriptive at all. Start your own cult in the land of false prophet. Again, I'm playing this on Easter weekend, so I'm sure that's hilarious. Oh, this is arguably a Halloween game, but we'll make it work. Although, if we're being honest, isn't Easter kind of like a happy Halloween without the candy? Actually, there's candy on both days. Yeah, Easter is basically spring Halloween or autumn Halloween if you're on the southern hemisphere, right? If you're an Aussie or a Kiwi, full health. So I do have full health, and I do like this music. Okay, so I went to that heart. Can I go backwards? Really? So I went to that heart to get. So I can't go back. Okay. So the blue sword means I've already completed that level. Okay. I can't go there. It's too far away. Okay. I guess they're using runes as the symbols on the map, which is kind of hilarious, but whatever. We'll make it work. Again, how weird is it to be playing this game on Easter weekend? Oh well. Um, okay, return more gold. We're fine. Going this way. So maybe I won't sell this game. Although one could argue, I will definitely be selling. I got a Harvest Moon Winds of Anthos for $10 at Walmart as well. It's not a good game. It's completely skippable. For $10, you're better off buying something like Harvest Moon Light of Hope, which isn't much better. But Light of Hope is actually like an okay game. Like it's like I guess you call it the poor man's Stardew Valley. Like it's fine. Strike card increase. When hit down, all damage will be dealt double damage. Okay, that seems cool. Let's just go for more health. Because I'm far more likely to be above half a heart's worth of health. In other words, the double damage only triggers when I'm almost dead, which is probably not going to happen here. So I just take the obvious, do 20% more damage. I went the wrong way. So we're good. So I guess I'm just supposed to clear out all the rooms. Okay. Oh wait, go up, go up. No, there's no up. Okay, so what am I missing? Not there. Oh, here. Okay, there you go. I don't know. Maybe if there were a simple, top-down Zelda dungeon with, 4 exits and nothing else. That crap. Hold on. Good. Hold on. Okay. I got a good thing. So a stronger blade, moderate damage. Yeah, so it's a little bit stronger. So it's a linear upgrade. I guess we're not selling weapons, we're just trading. And at some point, I guess you might get, completely different weapons, like different, like axes, maybe. I tend to believe that's this kind of game. Maybe some weapons don't let you cut grass. Like, do I get like brass knuckles, which you can't use to cut grass? Uh oh. That's right. This is supposed to be a boss here in this chamber. Yeah. I chose the last floor, which is the boss floor, I suppose. So in this game, the minions are just they're just members of the cult. Careful. Yeah, I think he's been poisoned. Done. So we got a new follower. Yeah, who's the lamb here? You seem easily led. You seem easily persuaded. Perhaps you are too credulous for my cult. So I guess cults are like factions in this game, huh? Gotta have a faction system in these video games in the 21st century, huh? your Zergs, your Terrans. Gotta do a good. No one, everyone loves a good old fashioned Zerg rush. That's locked, of course. But I don't have any. But I have one more follower. They also wanted me to come back with more gold. How much more gold do I need? We are Crusaders, I guess. So I get the references. Cult of the Lamb. Haha, I get it. I get it. It's an inversion. So yeah, for people who like dig into, for people who want to do the whole, literary analysis of this video game, well, I've given you a lot of source material. I've given you a lot of source material. So I think you know exactly what the story's trying to do at this point. So yeah, submit your think pieces below in the comments, I guess. It's hard to do think pieces when I'm busy playing video games, so you know how it is. Yeah, like what was someone saying? Yeah, someone was saying on Twitter recently, it's like, yeah, why would someone live tweet a game that they're clearly live tweet how much they hate a game for 3 hours? I'm like, first of all, I don't live tweet unless I were stuck playing a game with like bad unskippable cutscenes, I guess. So you have to indoctrinate the new guy. So it's time to haze him. Oh, we're not gonna spare you this whooping. You're getting hazed, son. Well, I didn't say it was gonna be a nasty hazing. I guess we'll just make you watch old anime, I guess. Or we'll make you play video games with unattractive women. That's the hazing we do on this channel, I suppose. Let's see. We're gonna go with Bambi, Neko, what's his name? Mr. Fox. This is a dog, right? I can't tell anymore. So we already have Alfred P. Newman, so we'll get Bambi's mom up in here. We gotta go brown, of course. Variant. I don't think we're gonna need the. I don't think we're gonna need the brow traits. Heals faster when it's okay. Gains faith when building better sleeping. Well, materialistic. Generates devotion fast. That's cool. Don't know what any of these mechanics mean, but we'll see what that does. Don't know what any of these attributes mean, like faith and devotion. Don't know what how they. Don't know what they mean here. So I already have a stone. I already have a lumberjack. Now I need a stone cutter. Worshipping generate devotion. Okay. Okay. By the way, where's our lumberjack? So we're gonna build a shrine. So yeah, this game seems way more interesting than I thought it was gonna be. This one actually might be good. Place for your followers to pray. Shrine with a. We have 30 gold, so it has to be here. I can't move it around. Okay. There they are. Okay, so they're gonna build it. Okay. And we need to give them food. Okay, so no one ate the food that I made. I'm grateful. To make me turn into an angry housewife. Or in my case, a house husband. And collect the devotion. So it's like a level up, I guess. Yeah, that is cute. Okay, so I got another random follower. I didn't rename yeah, I didn't rename Bambi. Okay, so I guess maybe I can rename them later. So you will be Callie Briggs from the SWAT Cats, my third cousin, twice removed. Don't ask who our common ancestor is. It was probably Ralph Bakshi or Jim Davis. or possibly crumb. Choose form. Chicken and okay, so we killed these guys. So I guess they can be Oh, so they're from the. Are they from Dark? Okay, so I guess they're from different dungeons. I guess Darkwood dungeon, the best kind of dungeon. Is there ever a light dungeon, really? What would a light dungeon might be like a forest, I guess. Yeah, a corn maze. A corn maze is a light dungeon, I suppose. Brown. Yeah, we're down with brown, right? Yeah, we're going brown. Stay mad. I know Callie isn't brown in SWATcast, but she is now. Well, you know what? Like I said, she's our cousin, so clearly she's black. She's clearly a black cat. She's yeah, but we're from Louisiana, so she's light skinned. That's the story we're going. There's a word I would say to describe her golden hue, but I will not use it on this channel because I don't know if it's a I don't know if it's a slur, so I won't use it. But yeah, okay, worship. But yeah, we have some light skinned family members in my crew. Like I said, we're from Louisiana. We're all over the place. We intermingled with the local color back in Louisiana. If you haven't heard. The more followers worshiping your shrine, the faster they'll fill up. The shrine is full. Stop worshiping. Okay. Oh, okay. So you have to turn it off. So you have to turn off. You have to tell people to stop praying. Stop that. Stop that. So we're still gonna collect crap like wood, stone, and devotion. We have to collect it from the stage. So I guess I have to tell everyone to do it. So I got one. Okay. So I got that. I got that one devotion. Okay. I like the idea of devotion as currency. Actually, it's kind of hilarious. Again, the economies of video games can get really interesting because for all the jokes people can make about decommodification, well, uh, I mean, okay, I'm not gonna make the joke, but what it's possible to commodify faith and devotion with a collection plate. Happy Easter, everyone. We still mining? Yeah, I'm holding down the button. I don't know if we mine faster, but I know if you hold down the button from the berry bush, you pick berries faster. So that's cool. Collect divine inspiration? How much? Oh, I did, okay. Establish a temple to preach sermons. Jeez. Hilarious. Gotta unlock branches on the skill tree. I guess you can call it, I guess maybe it's a mana tree. Speaking of biblical references. Establish a temple to preach sermons, okay. So what kind of temple would this be? Again, I'm sure there's a reference, just that they're at the top of my tongue, at the tip of my tongue. I can't think of it. Build. So I can just help build it faster, okay. Just hold down the A button. Okay. The center. He misspelled center. I don't appreciate that. What are you? What are you, Canadian? Get out of here with that. Uh huh. Sure. Work. Oh, so I can demand that they eat. Yeah, I don't know how tired they are. We have four choices. Just a second. Wood, stone, worship. Okay, so you can worship. It's fine. Worship me, Callie. No jokes, please. I can't change his name. I can't change their name. Oh well, whatever. So how do I know they're tired? Because I don't see like I don't see like a meter that says they're tired. Hold on, I'm gonna go down to the mountain. Yeah, it's time for a sermon on the mount. Bolster the power of the red crown on it. What are we doing here? You better give it up. What's that? Keith David had a sermon about that in Black Jesus. You know, he's gonna get his. He gave you all his faith. Gave you all his grace. So you better give him all your money. Follower with a high loyalty level will generate the more devotion. Therefore, the more followers you have, the more loyal they are, the quicker you are to gain new abilities. Okay. Therefore, more followers you have, more loyalty. Okay. Cool. Bane weapons. I was born. I was born in the Bane weaponry. Molded by it. Permanently gain half a heart. Watch him here. That's cool. Form a sermon drawing energy from your followers to bolster the power of the red crown. Okay, we're done. So I guess I can only preach so often before people get bored. Yeah, I'm pretty awesome. Worship me. I mean, normally we stand a death goddess on this channel, but this will do in the meantime. Not that I am drifting away from my faith in our death goddess Lilith Valkyrie, but I'm just saying. I am willing to dabble with. I'm willing to dabble. I'm willing to study. But my faith in the Lilith Valkyrie cannot be shaken. I'm just saying. Simple meat muffin beer, yeah, whatever. We have two pieces of food here, so I guess we can bake one more. Does the food spoil after a while? I don't know. Return to the land. Okay, so this is a good place to stop. We're doing okay. So at the top of the screen there, you can see I need 11 more devotion. Huh. I'm getting way more devotion than I expected. So I guess we can level up before I end the video. This commentary was recorded on a Plantronics headset, USB-A, plugged into a a dual-core Asus Windows 11 laptop. I think it's like 1.1 gigahertz 4 gigs of RAM, I want to say. Using the Windows 10 camera app to capture this footage at 60 frames a second at 720p. The Vanco video capture device is being used with an HDMI pass-through, so I'm playing on my Insignia 24-inch TV with relatively low input latency. This is a mounted switch, obviously. So we're done. Worship me, Callie. Let's see. What are... what do we got? So we're still doing that. So we're not going to go inside. Wait, is he doing... He's doing stone, right? Yeah, they're doing stone. So I got stone and wood in case I need to build more stuff, which I doubt. What else can I build? I already built a temple, and it's already been built, so I can only build one. Decoration. Don't care about decorations. Get out of here with that. Followers aren't eating. Shouldn't they be eating on their own? Do I have to tell them to eat? I gave you free will. Eat if you're hungry. Jeez. Dummies. Over here. No, we're just going to keep cooking. Okay, so they will eat. Okay. So when they're hungry, they will eat. So we will have to set aside some food for them. So we'll cook some more meals for all of them. There we go. So just stay out of the red, I guess. Ooh, I burnt it. Ooh. So I have to clean it up. Ooh, that's bad. Cook more food so your father can have something to eat. Be more careful. You know what? Get bent. You're not my dad. Yeah. Don't want to make people sick. Not sure how burnt food can make people sick, but here we go. So I need more berries. Blackberries, of course. Black of the berry. Although, okay, maybe I am the biggest hypocrite of 2025, but I think I do like this game, and I do want to play another hour of it. I'm willing to play another 2 or 3 more hours of this game, so that's my recommendation. How many more berries do I need? I need 3 more berries. Okay, fine. I guess I could tell him to pick berries. There we go. So I got seeds, but not berries necessarily. So hopefully all these resources will respawn, like plants. So hopefully that rock will rise from the grave. No. Good? Good. So that should be enough berries. Yeah, I got 9. So that's enough for me to make 3 more plates. So I got 1 there, and we're going to need 2 more. There we go. Just keep the meter inside the green. So we're probably going to need a couple more, aren't we? So we can get some more berries. So I need 6 berries to make another bowl. As long as they're not picky, I guess. Okay, we got the 13 we needed. So unlock divine inspiration, which means I can get sleeping bag. Sound good. Let's do a sleeping bag first, so our followers can stay well rested, and then we can focus on growing stuff. Body pit for dead followers, I guess. But what if we're Zoroastrian and we just want to let the bodies like just kind of sit there? Like, isn't that the thing? The Zoroastrians was there? I think the burial practice wasn't there like a burial practice where they like uh oh just yeah sure just leave your crap lying around. What kind of followers are you? Speaking of Zoroastrians, what was the whole thing like? What weren't their bodies supposed to be kept in like specific like temples? Like you didn't bury them in the ground. I think you kept them in like a specific room. I forget exactly. I forget the specifics, but yeah, it's like yeah, like the Zoroastrians apparently had that very specific like room. I think where bodies were kept. You didn't cover them in dirt. You kept them in a specific like I guess like a burial tomb. I guess. Yeah, tomb, but not a coffin or anything like that. Okay. So we'll be playing. I think we'll be playing more of this. Actually, I do like this. What I need to do is I want to do a video of Gimmick sitting over there on my PlayStation 4, the infamous NES game that was never released in the United States, but is apparently like $100 some. If you can get the Scandinavian version, I forget. Like it's one of the last Sunsoft games on the NES. Nobody Saves the World is also on the PS4, so I'll pull that out later. Oh, let me make sure I save. And again, I'm going to be playing a bunch of Civilization 2 because that's how I do. I might do another 1 hour video of that, but I'm at the point where it's like I'm kind of replaying my previous game save, and it's probably like I'm probably at the point where I should like play other games. So yeah, I have to go to GameStop, sell the Harvest Moon game I don't like, a $10 Harvest Moon game, and then I have to do what is it, roadmap? Oh, free update. Oh, that's cool. Content expansion, focus on cold death, add more. Huh, that's cute. But I got the cartridge version. So yeah, this game's like a year and a half old. So when this game just appears from Walmart shelves, what are they going to replace? Because if Devolver paid to get this game on the Walmart shelves, what's it going to be replaced with? Because it's not going to be. I bet it's not going to be the Demon Throttle, which is a game that I played a long time ago, but barely. Yeah, I don't think I put a video up for that. It's like 2D Dark Souls. I'm curious how that's going to work. 2D Dark Souls are always kind of interesting, but I play a few of them on this channel. I think I played Death's Gambit. I played Death's Gambit on this channel a while ago, several years ago. And that's like a 2D platformer Dark Souls. So we'll worry about that later. This is Cult of the Lamb on the Nintendo Switch. I'll be playing more of this. So yeah, the 1 hour research stream went well. Congratulations. You'll probably get 4 or 5 more hours from me. We'll see how it goes. Where's the scroll? So we have to scroll one screen at a time, I'm afraid.